Gorden Tallis, James Graham, James Hooper, Bed Dobbin with you ahead of the round 24 clash. That'll be taking place at 2 o'clock this afternoon at Wynn Stadium. The Dragons taking on the Titans. Dan Ganane will be your caller. We've got a huge show for you this afternoon. We will unpack the Latrell Mitchell dramas. We're going to also look at the Melbourne Storm. The West Tigers, they are trying their hardest not to win the wooden spoon. We'll talk about that win last night. Rapid fire, lots to get through there with expansion, the Hall of Fame announcements this week, and also Jake Clifford in the halves for North Queensland doing a great job last night when they put Canberra to the sword. But a very good afternoon to the Raging Bull, who's going to the Logies this afternoon, which, I think Logies and Gorden Tallis fit hand in hand. Two elite awards. And
put on the penguin suit and just go there and rock up. And Fox Sports are in a category for the coverage of the Las Vegas, and I think Triple M. So
and that documentary comes out tomorrow night after 360 as well, which will be outstanding as well.
And everybody that did watch it said it was a pretty good broadcast.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant,
and it was great to be involved. So hopefully we get the award. And
Crawl's leading the charge. Is he with you tonight?
Crawl, just the big wigs.
The big wigs. You, Braith, Crawls.
No, all of the big wigs couldn't go. Sorry, I thought you meant no. So all the big wigs couldn't go, so then they just scraped the bottom of the barrel.
Anyway, James Graham, good afternoon. How are you, mate?
Yeah, doing very well, Ben.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just back from Bundaberg.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a minute. Yeah, it was a great win. Hoops, how are you, mate?
Very good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Tigers had a win. You'd be happy about that.
Very happy.
Gutsy
they were
win.
brave. Happy Coruscant. Jeez, I'll tell you what, he dead set deserves a Dally M the way he holds that side together.
We will talk about that because last week a lot of people, when I said to him that he should be remaining captain, shot me down, and once again he showed why he is arguably one of the best captains and if not one of the better players in this competition. But let's talk about the great news story. I think it's the story of 2024 and the Telstra Premiership, and that's the Bulldogs. Yesterday, winners over the Dolphins in Bundaberg, 30 points to 10. Jammer, you were up in Bundaberg, and look, it was a home game for the Dogs. They've taken it 3 years in a row now. They've taken it to Bundaberg, and they really showed why they are in this title race now. They just keep on getting better and better, and I believe it's the story of the year in the NRL, the Dogs resurgent. I saw video footage of them in Belmore last night. They were on the streets with the drums, singing the Dogs song. They're reviving again, and they're back.
Yeah, it's a brilliant story, and obviously I have an affiliation with the Bulldogs. So I'm really happy with what's going on there. Former captain of the club and all that. The thing I want to point out though is they're not even playing close to their best yet.
Yeah,
like you look at that game yesterday, they threw the intercept pass. Their attack at times, like they scored 30 points, but they're not firing on all cylinders just yet. I still think there's more to come. And they're going to need to produce more as well because when the finals comes, and obviously a team that's not been there for a number of years, but the positive thing is they're not even at their capacity yet, in my opinion.
Yeah, their challenges when they get to the deep end because they're going through every level now. They're swimming and they're doing everything right, and they've overachieved in my mind. And now I'm starting to believe that. But can they match it with the big guys? When push comes to shove and it's 3 weeks in a row, that is the only question you can ask of them.
Yeah.
Every other hurdle, they've actually jumped. Like then, they haven't played anybody. They go up to Brisbane. Brisbane were desperate. Well, they beat them and they just keep on winning. They get their defence and everybody goes, well, they can't score points. Well, now they're scoring points at will and they're breaking sides down. So that's another box they tick. Are they resilient? Are they tough? Are they doing all the 1%ers? Absolutely. Well, the next thing is doing that at a higher level against the sides, the bigger sides.
They had two games that spring to mind against the Penrith Panthers and Melbourne Storm this year. They were in both of those contests. Yep. They competed well with those two teams who are flying high at the top of the table. Now, I think the Bulldogs, since those games, have improved on their game, especially the attacking component of their football, which, again, still isn't at where it needs to be. There was some things that happened in yesterday's game, which was a little bit clunky, but they attack well through their defense. The positions that they put the Dolphins in, especially in that second half, we saw the hammer just dive out the in goal on a number of occasions. So, and then they bring it with their line speed. They limit the opportunities of their opposition. We talk about the chase back from Hammer on the Fox, which
that's so good.
Was great, but you should say it's a tackle he should make because he's well within his rights to make that tackle. You know, it's a huge effort.
Hold on. It's a try that should have been scored. If you're
See,
a fast man.
I reckon looking at it from the
No way.
He had no right to get there.
He had no right.
Well,
He was-
he had a start.
he was
He had a start.
way behind.
Gemma,
No,
Gemma, I'm
He
sorry,
was way
mate.
behind.
We've
Mate.
watched all this. I'm sorry.
In
Fox
my-
scores
watched it
that
5 times.
99.99% of the time. He always scores it.
He should have
Right.
done that.
If the hammer doesn't make that tackle, I reckon he's filthy on himself.
That's because Hammer believes he's the
tell you-
fastest player in the game.
No.
That's the only reason.
Stop.
Hammer believes he's the
Hold
fastest
on,
player in the
hold
game.
on.
He proved
Jimmy,
that last
Jimmy,
night.
I'm going to do something for you. You got the ball. You got a clean set of heels, and you've only got to run straight. Are you disappointed you don't score that try?
Well.
No. Answer that question. Are you disappointed you don't get there?
The Fox
If
is
you're a
filthy
winger?
on himself. Yeah, of course.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
there, that's it.
but I reckon that anyway. The point I was trying to make, there was some great cover defense from the Dogs as well. I think Jacob Preston got the hammer in the first half, and then it was Matt Burton over on a Sarko that threw him into touch. So some great defense there. Oh look, I'm not taking anything away from the hammer. It was a special thing to watch, but he'd have been filthy if he didn't get it. But the Dogs defensively, absolutely outstanding. Their try-line defence, there was a couple of moments. So you've got some players in the game like Tavita Pangai Jr. that just looked like he was going to burst through and score, and they cling on, and then they swarm, and they come from everywhere, and then they just go again. And their level of fitness at the Bulldogs, their second halves and their last 20 minutes, their last 10 minutes are absolutely exceptional.
Where do you think
It
the
all comes
Dolphins are
down
at watching them live?
They can't make the 8.
They can make the 8. They're
they
in
don't.
the 8 as of today, as
Mathematically,
of
they
now.
can.
I don't think they do. I think they've got the Storm next week. I think then they've got then they've got the Broncos, and then they finish with Newcastle. I think and we'll get to it.
Your crystal snowflake ball hasn't got a very strong track record,
Well, the Titans St George game today, I think St George or Brisbane or the Titans can make the 8. I don't see the Dolphins now after, and it's lost opportunities because they got to Leeds against Penrith. They got to Leeds. They should have beaten them yesterday. At different stages, they could have.
They should have
The
beaten
story's
them.
the story's the Bulldogs. The story's
Did you
not the
just say
Dolphins.
the Storm?
I think if they
the
were
Dolphins
serious
should
up
have
there-
beaten the Dogs yesterday.
were
Are you
serious-
mad?
if they
Based
were
off what? Based off what?
His crystal snowflake ball.
That they're in the 8, mate, and if they were desperate to make the 8, they should have gone up there and beaten them. They didn't. So I
What
don't
happens
think
if
they'll
you
make
play
the
a
8.
better side?
Well, clearly they did.
Canterbury banks down to the story.
100%
Dobbo,
they
and
are.
they've shown, to Jimmy's point, they've shown over the past month in wins over Brisbane, Canberra, the Dragons, and now the Dolphins, who are all competing to try and also get into the 8, that they've got it. If I'm Canterbury Bankstown, and I know you're doing the Desi Hasler, keeping the feet on the ground and flying under the radar,
But it's
they
Manly,
are
Roosters, Melbourne and Penrith.
they are the side with some of the best momentum right now,
I
leading
get it.
into the
Hey,
business end of the
84,
season.
94,
Yeah,
2000.
It's-
Let's dare to
and
dream,
the scenes
Jimmy.
are
Let's-
awesome. Like
I'm
the
going to play the
scenes-
drums.
He's
I'm gonna play
watering
the
it
drums.
down. He's watering it down at the moment. And
'Cause he's got told
and
to.
you're right. No.
Uncle
I don't know
Gus,
if he's had.
Uncle Gus said,
actually
hey, listen here. Lock
He's
the
on the
bus
Gus
up,
bus.
turn the
Honestly-
music down. This weekend, just turn the music
Honestly,
down.
I'm
the
excited.
Dogs aren't ready to
Gemma,
play.
how much more improvement have they got from a percentage?
So much,
like
so
20%,
much more
30%?
improvement. So I don't like working
No,
with
you don't know what
percentages,
they
Dobber. But look, and they're striving for the perfect game. And every coach and every team and every individual, every unit in rugby league but you're never going to get that. But I watched that game and you just think, look, there's more for the Bulldogs to give. There really is. Like, yeah.
Is Stephen Crichton the buy of the year?
Oh, no question.
I think he is. I think what he's done, I think he has proven beyond doubt what one player can do for a side because they had the making. He just
There's a
joined
lot
the
of
glue.
guys
He's
that
the
do
glue.
a lot of work.
No,
Like,
but he's the glue.
Kickout's done a
Yeah,
great
well,
job. Serraldo's done a like. There's Toby Sexton's believe it or not,
Unbelievable.
since he's come back in, they've got a
Connor
bit.
Tracy.
Connor Tracy.
What a player.
But you know what I mean? So yes, I think Crichton's done a fantastic job. He's been, and he probably is the best buy, right, of the year. But to play the way they are playing, that's a team. That's a team. Like we can't give
I
it to an
get that, but
individual.
he's got them. He seems to have them more united for his presence.
You know what, Dobbo, you're right in terms of the impact that he's had. But you're talking about him, and a lot of people have this this thought that he's so important to the Dogs. He didn't play against Brisbane.
No.
No.
And
They missed
won.
him. So
Yeah.
one of the positive things about the Dogs is they're not over-reliant
On
on one
player.
or two players. Like that is a great trait to have. Like Penrith, right? Cleary goes down injured. Premiership betting was suspended overnight until they found out what was going to happen. So
Did he
everyone
just get a
goes.
burner?
Everyone
Don't
goes
tell
in.
me you got a burner.
Everyone
No,
goes
it's
into
he's out till the finals.
Yeah,
Everyone goes into
it's
a like.
when
he's-
Nelson Asafa-Solomona runs at you, there's got to be something happened to you.
Yeah, it's subluxed. It's
Yeah.
his left shoulder. It
Yeah.
came out and went back in. I think, is it the labra or something like that?
Yeah.
It's also in there as well.
Week one. Week one of the
He'll be
finals.
back for September. He'll be back for September. Gordy.
So if we're honest about the Dogs, I think they're a top 4 team now. I think that it'll be
they're
interesting.
going to have to. They're going
You've
to
got
have
to
to
beat the
win.
best 2 to win.
They're going to have to
That's
beat.
the problem.
They're going to have to win over in New Zealand. They're going to have to beat Manly at home, and they'll have to beat the Cowboys at home to make top 4. Because you look at the Sharks draw, Newcastle today, Dragons, Warriors, Manly. Like
Listen
But
to Cooper Cronk on Fox League last night. He made a great point where he said if he was Cameron Ciraldo, he'd actually be happy to finish 5th. Then they get a home final, right? You get some experience, that playing group, not a lot of them have played finals in recent times. So you're playing a side that finishes also in the bottom of the top 8,
Yeah.
and then you build momentum and try
The
and...
only problem is with that hoops.
you don't get 2 goes.
You don't get 2 goes, and you could get into Brisbane or the Titans or the Dragons that
Yeah, it's sudden death,
that
of
are
course.
sudden death that could bring something, and
he
you'd be
makes
fearful.
and he makes a great point because the play. Could you imagine where the Dogs are playing?
Oh my God!
They'll play at a core.
And it'll be 65?
If they host the home final, they'll sell it out.
They'll sell it
Because they
out.
haven't been in the finals for so long, since
Yeah,
2016.
So like, then that's
they're
like,
getting fans when they win in Bundaberg. They're getting fans going to the
You
League
should
Club
see.
celebrating.
You should
in
see the
streets.
streets of Belmore last night. You'd think they'd won a premiership. There was more drums there than the Karachi band.
yeah, look, I get that theory about
the mariachi band.
Mariachi band.
Yeah,
No,
if-
because that's a Mexican
Karachi.
band. He's thinking of
Karachi
food. He's thinking of chicken.
Shores, the Karachi shores.
I get that theory though about
Karaoke.
finishing 5th,
Yeah.
get the win, and then if you'd imagine the
No.
Sharks would play the Storm, and then you play the loser of that, and you're going to have to think it's going to be the Sharks. I can see the attraction to that draw.
So that's
Two wins in the finals, okay,
But I reckon if
and
you're
then we
thinking
play the
of that, right?
play the loser of Penrith and Roosters in the prelim. Like, but look, Bulldogs are just going out to win.
That's the mentality, isn't
Yeah.
it, Gordy? At this
Yeah.
stage, you can't be
I like that
calculating.
because obviously, like, you get to the final, you think, oh God, we got to play Melbourne, and you got to go to Penrith or whatever. No, win every game, and if that's the way the cookie crumbles, well, then you play those guys, But then if not, and you don't, you go, hey, there's something not too bad about the B side
Yeah,
of this.
well-
You know what I mean? Where we don't have any chances, but it's a softer draw. It's not an easy draw, but it's just a little bit soft.
But also on the flip side of that, you can get caught out about looking at next week.
That's right.
And then when the Bulldogs finish 5th, if the Bulldogs finish 5th and play, say, a Dolphins or a Newcastle in 8th, they're thinking about next week playing the Sharks. They lose, and then it becomes the story of the Dragons or the Dolphins or the Knights, that team that finished 8th, that beat the Dogs, that beat the Sharks, and everyone goes, whoa, that was supposed to, or you're looking going,
Yeah.
that's supposed to be us.
And this is another thing, dealing with the expectations is something that's never spoken about. And it's
the coaches talk about it behind closed doors.
but
I'm curious. Do they?
It's something that you probably have to address. But Penrith, they'll go, oh yeah, well Penrith have played 3 in a row, so their fans aren't going to get up in arms, right? You think Melbourne, you think that Roosters fans, like all 5 of them in their Range Rovers, they don't care. But the Dogs, right? But could you imagine the Dogs and the paper and the training sessions and the stadium and then everybody talking about them and the fairy tale and the
Mate,
dream?
the
and,
NRL
and
want
that's
the
what you got
Dogs.
to. Sorry,
The NRL want the Dogs. They are very aware.
What's the best
that
story of the
The
season?
last 7 years, the premierships have gone to Melbourne, Penrith, and the Roosters. The last 7 years, and who are the top 3
Probably the
teams at
last
the moment?
10.
No, the last 7. That's where they've gone. And who are the 3 teams at the moment? So
Well,
Make no mistakes, Cronulla and the Bulldogs and the Dragons, the NRL are chips in, wanting them to go on a run.
You asked there about do coaches talk about dealing with the expectation? Well, what happens when a sporting team does something like what the Dogs are doing? Things change. So everybody all of a sudden wants a signed jersey. Everybody all of a sudden wants to get in touch and catch up.
Yeah.
Tickets.
Everybody wants to get tickets to big games.
Can we come to the dressing sheds and meet
Herbie
them after the
Farnworth
game?
spoke about that on your podcast.
He did.
When the grand final, right, he didn't deal with tickets and everybody wanting that, and he was too busy worried about making sure that his family and people were coming out. And, like, that's a rookie mistake for me. Is like, no, you get that done. No, you tell them to sort it out themselves. Right, there's the lady's number at the club, mum or whatever. Mate, mum, you sort that out. I'm not getting every phone call from every relative.
It's for
That's seriously. That comes out every crack and go, hey, remember me? I say, no, I don't.
Can I get
No,
some,
I don't.
Can I get
Me,
some
I'll-
tickets for the game?
I went to school with you. No, because I didn't go to school. So what are you talking about? Pretend you went to school with
any
me.
chance of some tickets for the game? Yes, head to nrl.com/tickets. There's
Get
your
in the
chance to
queue.
get tickets,
Get in the
guys.
far queue down
That's
there.
exactly where it's at.
Latrell Mitchell, Hoops, where are we at? There was a breach notice issued on Thursday and 5 days for Latrell Mitchell off that photo that surfaced on last Monday that saw him leaning over a table with over a white substance. Now, no one knows what that white substance is, but the NRL has given a breach notice. Where are we at with it as of today?
So the proposal is that he'll miss one game, and the NRL is going to insist, because he's already injured this year as it is, so in all likelihood he was going to miss the remainder of this season anyway. They're going to say he has to serve it at the beginning of next season.
Yep.
So he'll miss round one next year as a result. And they've fined him as well. I think part of the fine is suspended. I think the fine in total is about $25,000.
South Sydney, obviously, there's some reports.
Can I
They're not
just
happy.
ask-
Souths are not happy. There's reports today that they've now inserted a last chance clause into Latrell's contract so that there's no more, you can't have another stuff up. You can't have another expletive laden rant on radio. There's no more chances.
Can I just ask, say the last guy to get done,
Val,
what was that fine?
25,
I'll have to
50,000,
look it up,
50,000 and a week suspension.
There you go. So that should be it then.
I
That's-
thought he missed more games playing
No,
for
one.
Australia.
No, he only got one game.
No,
It was
he
one
missed,
game.
he missed
Australia.
one test match.
Cool.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's fair, just as long
I-
as they're consistent in it, because it's something that like happens. You just want consistency.
I
think
have
it was
no dramas.
Similar
What did Trindle?
with Cameron Munster and Brandon Smith. I think they all got the same punishment.
Can I just say this? And, you know, it's well documented that Latrell and I was the bloke who interviewed Latrell when the expletive came out, when he went on that rant. And
You
Mate,
could have helped him, but you didn't.
I don't agree with that. And I'm sorry. And
Yeah, you could have
Look at you trying to cling on to a little bit of relevance.
No, I want to say this now. Can you just
Everybody
listen to me?
forgot.
Gemma,
Everybody forgot
Gemma,
that it was you.
Gemma, can you just listen to me? I can't believe the media that went on this week about how everybody was, who took the video and why was that published?
I do think that's
No,
ordinary.
just hang on.
that people did that,
No question.
and it's similar with what happened
But
with
no
Mitchell
question.
Pearce. Like,
Mate,
that's not.
That's
you
not
shouldn't
the
do that to
issue.
people.
That's not the issue, Hoops.
Well, it is. It's part of it.
No, it's not.
It is.
Mate, over at the Olympics, a hockey player got arrested because of trying to purchase a legal substance.
Mm.
He comes out, he apologises, he says, I'm done in the wrong, read a statement, moved on.
Yeah.
We never hear Latrell coming out and saying, you know what, I stuffed up, I made a mistake. It's always, the media this week has been about, somebody shouldn't have taken the video, or I should have taken the microphone away from Latrell when he was swearing, or, you know, he's been in the wrong because, I'm sorry, for me, I don't have a problem. Like, mate, blokes make mistakes. Latrell's a good bloke.
You
All
make
he
a
needs to-
valid point,
He just needs to
because-
come out and say,
But one thing, you could have said, hey, mate, you're on live radio.
he
That's
knew
one
it.
thing.
I looked at him, mate. I
get
looked
it,
at him.
But two things, right? So next time I get caught speeding, can I just blame the camera on the side and say they shouldn't have taken the photo?
No, it's
There-
you.
That's my point.
Yeah.
It's you.
That's
So
my point.
He needs
So
to
I
own
can't-
it.
So I
I
can't go
might
to
try
Queensland
that.
government and go, oh, gee whiz, I got caught on my phone. How, you know,
I got
why
done
did
on
they
a
take-
red light camera the other week, actually.
Can you say why did they take that photo?
Everybody
Can you
makes
blame them for
excuses for
taking a
Latrell.
photo?
Authoritarian government. I'm over it.
Or are you going through the red light?
But it's a little bit different, Gordy, when you're behind closed doors, supposedly with friends, right? And somebody betrays that trust. I actually think that's
No.
different to a speed camera.
Come
I
on,
do.
Hoops.
No.
Hoops. If the substance is what people are saying, and I don't know, it's illegal. Like, okay?
Yeah.
So if you make a mistake, and we've all made them. I make them all the time. You've made them.
Yep.
Mate, all you have to do, I made a mistake, I'm in the wrong. He does so much wonderful work for the community. No one questions what a good bloke is. Just own it, and we all move on.
Well, that's the
Instead,
cruel
there's-
thing is he was up there for a kids' clinic.
Yeah, but
and he'd
what
done a lot
happens
of good
is-
stuff while he was up there.
There's a lot of people around Latrell who are giving him poor advice, and he goes to Grant. He just comes out and says, you know what, I'm really sorry. I think everybody endears himself to him because we all are flawed. We're all flawed.
You are, but you bring up some really poor examples in terms of the Australian Olympian.
No, my exact point was, Gemma,
no,
that no
because
one's
they-
talking about it anymore
Yeah,
because
I
he owned
know,
it and
but
moves on.
No one knows him.
No one knows who that is.
No one
he
knows
was
him.
overseas. It was
I didn't
actual
even hear about it.
It was a matter of fact, not a matter of innuendo, speculation. There's more at risk here for that individual in Latrell versus the hockey player.
So you think if he
No.
came out on Monday or Tuesday and said, you know what, that was me.
Well, no, and he can't for very good reasons, and it would be ill advised to. Now I agree, crisis management is an important part of
Rugby league.
but you play the game, and the game is you've got 5 days. You've got to be charged with something. You're not gonna incriminate yourself by coming out and saying anything, because then you start to you look at things like the Cam Munster and Brandon Smith. They came and did a press conference after the fact. Now they managed to handle it a bit, arguably better, but again based down in Melbourne in the off season.
Yeah.
Gemma.
I think Gemma's got some very valid
I
points.
get what you're saying, but this isn't his first rodeo. There has been...
Well, have you spoken to Wayne about this? Because ultimately, Wayne's got the whip hand here. He's the incoming coach. We know what a noted disciplinarian he is with players, and we've seen him
I
get
asked
the
him, had he
best.
spoken to Latrell this week?
Yes.
And he said, no, I haven't. He said, I'm not the coach there. I did not want to get involved. But he said, he actually said he has spoke, like when he got announced, he said, and Latrell came out and said, mate, I need you here. And Wayne said, I know. But I asked Wayne this week, have you spoken to Latrell? He said, no, I haven't. He said, it's not my place to. I'm not the coach. He said, I'm not at South
He would
Sydney
have
yet.
spoken to him.
I get 100% he would have. 100% he would have. But I get this isn't Latrell's first controversy. If
Well,
this
it's
was
significant that Souths have now are going to stipulate in his contract that this is it. This is last chance saloon. There's no more.
Do you actually need to do that though? Like,
Well, you will if you're going to do
Well,
something
they might know
like
more. Like they know more than us.
tear up a contract. Absolutely, you need to put that style of thing in there, because otherwise you've got to start issuing breach notices, which Latrell got this week anyway from the NRL.
Yeah.
It just felt like there was a protection racket being run around him, just protecting him this week by certain people in the media. And I was like, okay.
I didn't find that. But
Well,
you
No,
have.
but like, there's no doubt that stars get treated different. Right? There's no doubt.
He's the
that.
face of the game.
There's
So
no
I
doubt
reckon
that,
he's the
that
face of the
Michael
game.
Jackson probably got treated different than his brothers because he was the star. So there's no doubt that when you play games, the best players get away with a little bit more. There's no doubt in that, right? But because of the talent, and then whether you like it or not, that's what happens.
but they also get scrutinised
More,
Like,
absolutely.
so we talk about the Melbourne Storm incident, the photograph or the video, whatever it was.
Yeah.
There was another player. I can't remember who it was.
Chris Lewis.
Yeah. Yeah, no one
But-
talks
but
about him.
no one
Yeah,
talks
that's
about
fair
him.
enough. But doesn't that come with the territory if you are the big brands? You are going to be scrutinised because you get more money, so you get more revenue. But that comes with part of it, Gemma.
You also get treated differently,
Yeah,
both positively and negatively.
Well, that's part of the deal.
So what do you want to happen then, Dobbo?
You want
I
Latrell
just-
to come out at the end of it.
Look, I just think, and I go back to saying he has done like ridiculously good work in the community that he doesn't seek kudos for, and unbelievable. But when you make a mistake, we've all been taught, and I've been taught, just own it.
Yeah, but
say
he
you're
can't
sorry.
do that yet.
Well, mate,
He can now that the once the 5 days.
He didn't
is
own.
done.
He didn't own the language the with us, and he actually blamed me because in game 2 when I went and asked him for an interview, as you were all aware, he told me to F off on the field, and said you stitched me up. Now that doesn't to me speak to somebody that's said he's owned it, right? That doesn't say he still doesn't own. And we all know full well that he thought it was me that caused that. I caused it by interviewing him.
I know we G
No, he
up
caused
about
it
it.
from the words coming out of his mouth.
Exactly
I
right.
know we G up about it, but we are only
G'ing up. Yeah.
being tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
You didn't cause that, mate.
I realise that.
Latrell
And
owns
so
that.
what I'm saying is, if you own something, we all move on. No one's going to. This is the most forgiving sport. We all get second chances in this sport. This is the most forgiving sport in the world.
So what, you want him to do a press conference?
I just think, as a South Sydney employee, he needs to come out and just say, you know what, I got it wrong.
Well, he may well this week.
Yeah, and I hope he does. But the protection racket that was run this week from different areas of the media saying, I'm not going to go into naming names, but there was different media organisations that this week have said, I see the best in Latrell and what he does this, and I don't see Latrell like that. Mate, no one's questioning.
I honestly don't
I
know
didn't.
what you...
Where was all that?
Well, it was one on the Listener podcast. If you go and have a listen to that,
okay.
and then if you go, and I not, to be honest
no,
with you,
no,
you guys
I-
didn't.
no,
You
sorry,
guys
the
didn't.
lemonade
no, no,
sandwich.
you
one,
guys
which
didn't-
one's
you
that?
guys-
I think what
You
what
guys
is happening,
didn't.
Dobber,
Yeah.
is people are trying to not say what he's done is or potentially the right or wrong thing, but to understand. And understand doesn't mean excuse. Understand how you get in situations. Understand that, people saying...
Everybody was talking about, mate, somebody shouldn't have taken the photo. No, you shouldn't put yourself in a situation where there's people like that who are going to do that. That's not the person who take the photo isn't to blame.
I disagree,
No, I
because you
don't,
can't walk around with that level of paranoia. What if someone's going to take a
Mate,
photo of me all the time? You can't walk around with that level of paranoia in your life.
He trusted the
what
people
did-
he was with, and they let him down.
What the allegation is that there was something illegal there, mate. So I'm sorry, if you want to do something that allegedly could be deemed illegal, right? And you're worried about someone taking a photo, mate. It's a simple thing. Don't do something illegal. That's.
Yeah, I know
I'm
what you're
sorry,
saying. I know
you're
what you're saying.
justifying behaviour
No,
that is illegal.
no,
No,
don't
we're
you
not
dare!
justifying
Don't you
that.
dare say
I
it's
just don't
justified.
like
I'm
the
trying
way
to
that the
let
photo-
try and
Well, then,
understand
mate,
it.
I don't like what
don't
happened.
blame somebody for taking a photo.
you
Don't put
can.
yourself in that
Well, you can
situation.
blame- you
Don't
can.
put yourself in that situation. That's a simple thing. Make better choices. And and I'm the first to say, you know how many poor choices I've made. And you blokes know me. You know me well. You know me away from
But
this.
you know what? You say things like make better choices. Like we're dealing with rugby league players here that by their very nature make what some people would say bad choices because of their character and the sport that they put. Not their character, their personality type and the sport that they play. There are people of extremes. Like, why did the NRL player mess up? Because he's an NRL player.
That's not.
And he
the
was
re-
with people that he trusted. That's the bit that I don't like.
I think.
The
Because you're an NRL no, that's not an excuse,
No,
Gemma.
I'm not saying it's an excuse,
Yeah, but
Dobbo,
you're
but
justifying him. You're
I'm
justifying
trying to
what-
help understand about why, when somebody who's the face of the game got a multi-million-year contract, would make that decision. It's like, people just say no. It's that old advert. Just say no. You don't get it. You don't get the type of people that are attracted to risk.
I know this
Not
bloke.
not everyone, but there's a certain. We've all been around them. Yeah. Some people that play our game, there's something not right about them.
Let's get into the Great West Tigers win last night. 18 points to 16. Came down to the final whistle, but they are really, and I don't think anybody would have said this a month ago. They're a big chance of not winning the Wooden Spoon now, Hoops. There's a bit of a battle on for the Wooden Spoon.
There's only one bloke that said that they wouldn't make the top 7, and that was you. And they would definitely
wouldn't win another game.
I said
And that
that out
was
of
you.
motivation.
You
We
said
don't
it
need to repeat
twice.
that.
You said it twice.
Yeah, off the message from Benji. I got the message. And you know what? It's motivated him. So, job done. Well done, Benj. Coaching master stroke. Go on.
Look, they were awesome last night. We touched on it off the top of the show. Appy Coruscant, what he does for that side week in and week out is simply superb. There's some next-generation players starting to also have some really classy touches. Lockie Galvin, some of his service last night, some of his try assists and the bullet-like passes that he was throwing were beautiful to watch. There's a young bloke, I think it's Luke Lalili.
Yeah.
He's on fire on the wing. And there's some positive signs. Look, they're by no means out of the woods yet. They've still got to fight tooth and nail to try and dodge a third straight spoon, which I think would be a significant development if they can avoid a third straight wooden spoon. Because they just need
It's basically
It's going to come down to the game with Parramatta, isn't it?
final game of the season.
It's for the battle. I look at them and say, okay, next year. I just look at next year and what they've got coming there, right? So we know they've got Taruva, Luai coming there next year. So what do you do with Galvin? Like, how does that, because...
Well, Luai will play 7 and
Play
Galvin
him.
will
So
play
Caesar,
6.
what happens to
6?
Caesar? So he's just a backup?
I don't think he's even signed for next year. I think it was when they signed him,
was
they
a
had
1 year.
it had a club option that the club could decide if they wanted to continue his involvement next year, and I don't think he's staying.
They're a better side when they played at the game plan. It's just been at different stages throughout the year. They've lost their way a little bit, but bringing 2 players in there, they're still lacking some punch in the forwards. That's the big
Well,
question.
they lose Papali'i, don't they?
Yeah.
And Stefano.
Stefano.
They've got to get and Shane Richardson's
maybe
been trying to.
Bateman.
They've got to get in the market. They've got to get in the
But there's
player
a couple
market.
of big blokes at Newcastle. There's a couple of big blokes at Parramatta that
Well,
might just need
Horsburgh's still on the market.
I'd go and sign Daniel Saifidi tomorrow if I'm West Tigers.
You would.
Just get him there.
Is there a chance that that's going to happen, or
Well, I'm sure they're doing their best
Yeah.
behind the scenes.
Yeah, I reckon they'd be talking to all of them.
The challenge they've got at the moment is it is a hard sell. Like we've seen with players, Stefano's a good example. He's gone to Melbourne. Blaise Talangi's another example. He's gone. The young gun emerging players in the modern world, they want to go to a destination where they can win and improve as individuals and play as a team.
Well,
but the Bulldogs were there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I know.
So
They got Gus, right?
Yeah. Well,
Richo's been in the game for a long time, but with all due respect to Richo, he isn't quite as big a figurehead as what Gus is.
And they sort of have put their thoughts out there, or sort of the blueprint for their success is going to be the development of youngsters. That's what they've said publicly, and about tapping into that area, Sydney Southwest. In terms of like recruiting some experience, we've seen Coach Flanagan do it at the Dragons, and he is still active in the market. So there's a couple of guys on the radar. I think Daniel Saifiti, Campbell Gillard has been tapped at Horsburgh. For those players, like there's other clubs in competition for those players as well. And with due respect to the Tigers, if I'm a Daniel Saifiti and I see what's happening at the Dragons right now, and the Tigers are in for me as well, how do I want to spend these next couple of seasons? Probably not working my way out of this wooden spoon situation or battling for a wooden spoon. I'd probably choose to go to the Dragons, where the grass does appear to be a little bit greener.
And it'd be playing with someone like Appy, playing with someone like Luai, playing with a young Galvin that's on the rise, Buller. Like, that's not going to be a bad spine.
A good example of what Jimmy was just talking about there, Gordy, is RCG, Regan Campbell Gillard.
Yep.
So I think Shane Richardson has been in touch with his representation, and he got a thanks but no thanks.
Yeah.
Because at his stage of his career, I can understand why it wouldn't be overly appealing to have to help the West Tigers through a rebuild.
but somebody's going to have to go there.
Yeah, of course.
And somebody's going to have to go there. And
Well, but the way you do that is for an experienced player.
others.
Well, you pay Campbell Gillard or Saifiti. What's that worth? A dollar figure worth going to Tigers over going to Dragons?
the thing about it is that they offered more money than anybody to Stefano, and he left. So your question is that young, build your team around.
One's called Melbourne Storm,
yeah.
Craig Bellamy. One's called Dragons. That's no disrespect to the Dragons. It's just that's a big carrot. That's a big carrot. Right?
I just don't know how they dig their way out.
They'll dig their way out, mate. Look at the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs and the best story of this season. They'll make some inroads. They'll make changes. They'll get a win here or there.
How long do
Luai's
they
a
keep-
win.
well, how long
Signing
do they
Jerome
keep-
Luai is a win for them.
How long do they keep? Will Benji, if he has another year like this, is there going to be pressure?
There's every NRL head coach is under pressure.
So
every
that's a
week.
yes.
I'm saying
Of
every
course there is.
NRL head coach is under pressure every week.
If you're
It's
not
professional
Ivan
sport.
Cleary or Craig Bellamy, you're under the
Or
pump.
Wayne.
Or Trent Robinson. I mean,
Not sure about that one.
Well, I don't think he's under any pressure, Trent Robinson.
You are, because if you don't win, the best two sides are Penrith and Melbourne every year. They're the two that I look at and say that those two are the safest two coaches. Everybody else, right, they don't fight for their supper. Like some have, a couple of years or whatever. You know what I mean? But if you have a bad season, which is a shame, right? Because it can click over. And if they were impatient with Serraldo and he's probably not the job, but look what happens. Like sometimes it takes a while to get the burn going.
But some people get a longer runway as well.
Absolutely.
But based off what they've done in the past, either as a coach or what they've done as a player at that particular club in question. So Benji's runway is extended because of what he's done for the football club, especially back in 2005. Like his runway would be longer than, say, a Serraldo. Serraldo didn't play for the Dogs. He had his first year last year. Had this year gone like last year, then the pressure would really be on. Don't know how much that runway would.
It's an interesting take because
it's true.
I get it. He's a premiership player at the West Tigers, so he comes with a level of that he has a little bit more. But
they've got to learn something from their mistakes, and the mistake that they've continually made over the course of the last 10 years is sacking coaches. So I don't think getting rid of Benji is necessarily going to make the West Tigers.
I'm not saying they should.
I just wand that it means that they're winning games or they win the comp.
Either way, you look at every single player that's left that club over the course of the last 10 years. You've documented them well.
Yeah, but look at some of the kids who are coming through.
Okay,
let's talk about Lachlan Galvin.
Yeah, that's one. That's one, Hoops. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been...
The winger, Luke Laulili, was outstanding last night. There's another one.
Yeah, okay.
Jerome Buller. There's another one.
Well, Tedesco, Moses. You want me to go the other way?
Yeah,
you want me to keep on going the other way with this play? No, that's the facts.
That's a long-winded political argument.
Well, mate, they are...
Tigers, really, Benji's cut his teeth this year.
Yeah.
And then I think next year they're going to need to, if everybody's fit with Luai in, Taruva, obviously Buller at the back, Galvin another year in first grade, and obviously Api Coruscant as well. What is a successful season? Like people say, you got to play the 8, but realistically,
more wins. I mean,
they've just got to get off the bottom of the ladder. Yeah. They just got to start the.
They got to show improvement. They got to show that the Tigers next year would beat the Tigers this year, and beat them comfortably.
What about for the team that they beat last night in South Sydney? I mean, you talk about their season, and look, it was a forward pass. They missed that pass with White, and thank God the pass to Kalamatangi, Belinda Sharp got that right and picked that up because that was a blatant forward pass as well. But has Wayne got can Wayne turn it round? I mean, he has got you and Aiken going there. I'm interested. Like everybody, we've seen what Wayne's done, but is this his toughest coaching assignment going back to South and getting them, with the big personalities, an ageing roster in some areas?
No, I don't think it's his toughest assignment. I'd say setting up the Dolphins was, because it's a start-up. Well, sorry, it wasn't a start-up club. It was already established in the Queensland Cup, but
he's had some tough challenges.
To have to reshape a brand new NRL roster when you got 0 players and you need to get to a top 30, I would say that's one of his better achievements.
His last year at Newcastle, he would have probably doubted himself, know, and then at South, I reckon the way the season's finished, I reckon the job's a bit bigger than what he first thought, but he's experienced, the old bugger. He's got all the tools in the shed.
Souths will be back next year.
The renovator. Let's just call him the renovator.
Souths will be flying next year with Wayne as coach.
Yeah, I think they probably need to go into the market for a middle as well. Like, again, they're in competition with the Tigers, with the Dolphins for some of those more experienced players. I don't think Wayne's looking for a project player, I imagine. He wants someone that can come in who he can trust.
He wanted Tavita, he couldn't get him.
To do a job. I think if he'd wanted Tavita, he would have got him.
Maybe.
But, so you look at, Cam Murray, that bloke needs some help. You watched him at the beginning of the season and you just, they're losing Tom Burgess as well, another experienced player. You've got Jai Arrow, who'll be fully fit, Keon. Then you've got the question of the 9. Cookies, maybe he's past his best, but
he's still going to St. George.
Yeah, there's still big shoes to fill. Yeah. You've got to come into a role and new dummy half, and I don't think they've signed. I think they're going to promote from within. Is it Mamazula's?
Mamazula's there.
Will take that role, and they
have still got a back line that'll have Latrell, Whiten, Campbell, Graham. Their halfback, Lewis Dodd. Yeah, there's a lot there.